If you want to start being productive, you're going to have to start doing something I like to call designing your environment. Now, what is designing your environment? Well, to put it plainly, it is simply organizing a space. So it could be an office, or it could be your bedroom, it could be anywhere where you want to perform the work that you're trying to be productive in. You want to design that space in a way where the only things that are around you are things that are related to the work you're doing. I want to tell you about a little experiment that was done years ago, and it involved these three sisters. They're called the Polgar sisters. Now, these three sisters were very world class chess players, all three of them. And the reason that they became world class chess players was because of an experiment that their father done. He wanted to basically find out if someone's adequacy in a certain field can be influenced by the environment they're brought up in. So he ended up getting married to a woman, and he told his wife about the experiment, and his wife agreed to do it with him. So when they had these three kids, he had his house filled with things to do with chess, filled with books about chess, filled with chess boards, filled with just anything and everything to do with chess. However, he never forced them to partake in chess. It was just in their environment around them at all times. And as the years went by, all three daughters started to show a massive interest in chess, and eventually they became masters at it. They all became grandmasters. And this experiment shows that your environment can have a major impact on how you perform. So we can actually use this experiment to our advantage. So let's say you're studying for a test in school. Create an environment where almost everything around you is something to do with this test. Let's say it's a math test. Fill your room with books on maths. Put up diagrams of equations, diagrams of things that are related to what you're doing. Or if you're learning to be a psychologist, fill your room with books about psychology, quotes by famous psychologists. Do you understand what I mean? Just fill the space with things that are related to whatever it is you're doing. And then that means that there's nothing around you that can't there's nothing around you that can distract you from what it is you're doing, because everything around you is related to what you're doing. And that way you maximize your ability to be productive, because now there's minimal distractions, you're focused. Even if you were to stop what you're doing, pick up a book beside you and start reading it, it's something to do with psychology, so you're still learning about what it is you're doing. And even just for general things, if you want to increase productivity in anything, minimize distractions in your environment and try and relate your environment to what it is you're doing. I can remember hearing about another experiment that's done. I can't recall who done it, or when and where it was done, but I can remember, I think it was a Japanese company, and they got in a specialist to basically try and help with some problems in production that they were having. And this expert ended up figuring out that the cause of this less in production was actually to do with the desk organization in the offices. Like their desks, just the way their desks were organized was causing problems with this company. So what he done was he told the company to basically organize their employees' desks in a way where everything was within arm's reach. Everything they needed was in front of them, so they weren't having to turn around to grab things. Everything was in front of them, and everything around their desks was related to their work. And they saw a massive boom in the production and the efficiency of their workers. They were getting so much more done simply because they designed their environment properly. So you see, if you design your environment, you're essentially it's like a cheat code for improving your productivity. And for people who, some people have what's the word, learning, they aren't as good at focusing as other people. You might have ADHD or autism or something like that. I think this is especially good for people like that because they get very distracted very easily. You tend to jump from one thing to the other. I have slight autism, and sometimes I can find it difficult to focus on specific things. So what I'll tend to do is I'll tend to design an environment in which any possible distractions are still related to what I want to do. So I'll have my room organized in a way where I have my desk, where one half is for work related stuff and then the other half is for hobby related stuff, and I have them two separate segregated sections on my desk because it's a pretty big desk. One section is for hobby stuff, so sometimes I like to paint miniatures, and then on the other half, it's the opposite side of the desk, I have my computer, my books, and all that stuff, my pens, my pencils, everything like that. So it means that I have my designated spots for the work I want to do, and then that way it helps me focus a bit more. Instead of having a desk where everything's everywhere and I'm writing something down and some model that I want to paint catches my eye, and then I'm getting distracted because I'm thinking about that model. I want to do something with that now, and I've had an idea about what way I want to paint it, and you get distracted, and then you lose your workflow, and then all of a sudden you're at square one. You forget what you were doing. You've lost your flow, and you're trying to figure out where you were or what you were doing. Design your environment in a way that minimizes distraction and maximizes output. It's a really easy thing to do. It's so easy to do, and it really does help. So design your environment, minimize distraction, maximize output.